Hello and welcome to Phoenix Crypto and another edition of Market Watch. My name's Andy and we're going to look at what's been going on in the world of Bitcoin, and I think it's been a quiet 24 hours. What do you think? Obviously I'm being facetious here. We've had a very interesting time, and what we've seen here is this lovely trend line which stretches back to a previous all-time high. So if I go to a 12-hour, you can see this all-time high back in October coming all the way down, and you can see how many times price keeps interacting with it. And guess what? Just there we reject. Now, for those of you who have been listening and watching my videos for a little while now, you'll know that I've been talking about this trend line a lot. Okay, and essentially I have said I am not bullish until we get above this trend line, and we've tried numerous times. We also had a trend line here which stretches right the way back to a September low and a July low. Okay, and you can see we actually tested it here and got quite an immediate bounce back up again, and you can see this zone of liquidity which has been good support. So you can see that support is held just over here, and you can see support is held over here. So what has gone on? So if I go back to a 4-hour, we've had a couple of dips. This was quite nice and juicy. That long was very nice and juicy, and then we were ranging, and there's a couple of moments we thought, are we going to break out, as this is a descending kind of triangle, are we going to break out there? We thought we would, but we've not had a single 4-hour close. And actually, to a number of people, what I often say is I never feel that we're fully broken out until we have a 4-hour close above a trend line, and the second thing is to then retest it. So here you can see we broke out, but on the 4-hour we did not, although we closed above, we immediately have fallen back through. And then we were ranging, and this was quite a frustrating few days, trying to look for trades, trying to look for entries. And sometimes I think there's a danger that some people force trades. They look for trades that aren't really there because they feel they should be in a trade, and they feel like they might miss out on something amazing. And then we had this beautiful rejection. Now, when I talk about this bottom trend line here, I've been talking about the fact that we need to retest it. We need to test it. Well, and I've also gone on record to say, I think in order to shoot up to 100k and all of these numbers, trading is all about testing and support and resistance, breaking these levels. Well, we've done that here, and because we've not tested it for some time, okay, as soon as we do, it gives way. Where something that gets tested repeatedly, generally holds. So this has just given way. Now, I think I've also gone on record a number of times to say the biggest whales in cryptos are exchanges, right? There's no whale in the world that benefits from a market dump like this, apart from exchanges, right? We all want the price to go up, okay? Yeah, sure, you can accumulate more Bitcoin, of course you can. But fundamentally, what exchanges don't want you to be doing is for people, if I go back over here, when we really broke out of this trend line here, exchanges don't want people to have got along from over here and for that to still be going to 100,000, right? They do not want that to happen, okay? We have liquidated almost every long out there. I mean, that is quite a drop. That is quite a drop, and you can see, that was a big wick. I felt we would retest 52k. I wanted us to test it. I wanted us to hold it, but that is a big drop. Okay, and when I woke up this morning, that was phenomenal. Did I trade it though? You betcha. So I got in over here quite early. This hadn't even confirmed, so it was still up here. and I go into 2 trades, one on Ethereum and one on Bitcoin. Why? When you've got a market dump like this, you know, I try and open up multiple trades. I probably should have gone for 3 or 4. I think that's the sweet spot between risk and reward. I went for 2, both on max leverage. When we got to here, I closed my Bitcoin long. In hindsight, that was a mistake, but I wanted to see if we'd get a bounce. We got a little bounce, you know, I made a little bit. However, I took some profit, moved my stop loss to entry, went to bed and woke up, and I think we were about over here somewhere, right? You know, so that's a lot of lost profit. That probably was probably a 1100% trade, you know, in reality, or maybe even a bit more. Ethereum, on the other hand, I stayed in the trade, and I recorded it at 1900%, but it absolutely would have been more. I just wasn't awake for it. And since then, we've had a nice little bit of consolidation, and then we're starting to get a bit of a bounce back. It's a bit tricky to say, is this a sustained bounce? You know, are we going to move? How far are we going to move up, or not? You know, what I would turn and say, if I go to Market Cipher, in fact, this is a Market Cipher. This is VMC Morpheus. We've got a 4-hour with the VWAP, very nice angle, poking up here. We know that the RSI will be heavily oversold. We know that. You know, this has been a big dip here. Nice green dot here. That is confirmed. You know, money flow is not looking great, but to be honest, I don't think that's overly important at this point. And you know, that VWAP is taking us through, and we can see on the short-term time frame, you know, yeah, we've dipped down, but really we're going quite nicely at the moment. You know, will we come down again a bit more? I think we will, because we'll need to form a trigger wave, and then I think we'll go up further. Okay, what am I looking for in a higher time frames though? Well, this really isn't a trigger wave. It's not smaller than these at all. You know, it's actually pretty big. And trying to look back, you know, that comes close. September, which we know is quite a bearish month. July, so we've had a few big dips. You know, but we're looking at May, where we know that was a horrible time. You know, so you know, we're still in that zone really. You know, really what I'd like to see is a lot more of these time frames coming up, and we are starting to see that. 8-hour, very close to crossing. 6-hour has now crossed. Look at that angle, brilliant. So that shows that actually there's quite a bit of momentum. You know, just by virtue of the angle there, it looks quite good. You know, does that mean it's going to be sustained? Not necessarily. You know, if I look at the 2-hour here, that VWAP curving round, you know, does that mean it's going to curve down? It will do at some point, because you know that's what price does, it oscillates. But at the moment it's okay. One thing I will say is look, you know, there's no this still hasn't broken across the 0 line yet. Has it on the 1 hour? No, not yet. You know, and that's been quite sustained now on there. You know, we can see the RSI starting to go back up. Okay. So I've scalped this quite nicely today. Probably I'm in my second trade on Bitcoin. First one, well, actually that's a lie. I tried to scalp over here, but it was not looking so good. But I've had one successful scalp here, and I'm into my second one now, which I've not long entered actually. I got out my first one just around over here, just because you know, you don't know yet if this is going to be, how big a pump is this going to be, and is this just to get people to feel like we're out of the woods when we're not, and then we dip down again further. You know, absolutely very possible. Okay, just going to have a quick look just on cryptograph here. I mean, that's got a clear sell signal. You can see here you've got these red squares, which is showing the bearish trend, but actually the space in between here is also showing a reversal. So the lack of square is showing possible reversal. You can see that here actually, because price is oscillating, price is flip-flopping between there, so you can see that. So actually that's a really good indication actually that maybe that's not a good time frame to be trading, maybe not. And I think actually that would really help people. I think that's actually, although there is no square, I think people should treat that as being, that is not a good entry. Okay. So here you can see the bearish continuation, but you can see the VWAP coming up though, and you can see, if I zoom in here, just make it a little bit clearer, you can actually see, so there's the VWAP coming up. You can see just over here, this RSI has just crossed over, it's gone blue, so it's a bit hard to see there, and that's poking up, so that's showing nice. We've got a nice go signal, so fantastic, which, looking at that, you would agree with, it looks good, If I go over here, this is quite interesting. I think I've talked about Keltner bands a few times. I think this is a very underused, underappreciated indicator. And typically what happens is when price gets outside of the Keltner band, it's like an elastic band. It normally rebounds back. So I'll probably find it on a 30-minute quite nicely somewhere. Let it load. Let's see. So as it gets here, it comes back again, getting to the outer edges, comes back then again. Here, we are coming back, but we've gone phenomenally. And I think this is largely, I don't want to say unprecedented, because I think there is a precedent. But this is, it is recovering. But what you're also seeing is, look at the band start to come down to meet it. Now, what can happen, right? This absolutely can happen, is the band moves down and engulfs the price action. And this doesn't necessarily have to move up a huge amount, can just be sitting over here. And then we can drop some more. I'm not saying that we are, I'm saying it can. At the moment, being so far up the band, it's a struggle to see that we would really drop. It's a struggle to see that. And the band, and here that's an EMA. All of this is based on an average price, and so obviously the average price has dropped quite considerably. So that's the reason why it's meeting it. Okay. Let's have a look on a quick round tour of some of the other coins out there. So let's look at Ethereum. So, like I said, 1900%. Absolutely killer trade, and Ethereum has dropped quite a lot when it did its last move down. And this was on a 4 hour over here. That was very nice. That was like a 10% move. Ethereum didn't really reject off a line in the same way as Bitcoin. Let me just turn on some. I don't think I've got my support and resistance mapped out very well here. But I don't think, Ethereum really, I think, responded, or the market responded largely to Bitcoin and that rejection. Bitcoin's the market mover. The total market cap is huge. It does move markets. You can see here, look at that, teal, RSI massively oversold. I've also been in a trade on Ethereum. This is my second trade today. First one got a couple of 100%, so it's been quite nice. Cardano, interesting one. I mean, we've dropped massively. I mean, I think this is an absolute bargain price. We are well underneath the all-time high by. It's probably about 60% drop. I haven't measured it, but it's certainly more than 50%. We are coming up though, so this trend line is coming down, so we are coming up to that trend line, and that will be interesting. That will be an interesting time to observe. Sol's has recovered really well. I didn't really trade it earlier on actually, but I probably should have, but it's recovered really well and it's back into its channel really. So if I was to go to a 4 hour, that's been a really good move by Sol. So that's been phenomenal, and that's been a great trade for anyone who's been in that. Looking at Litecoin, one of my favourite coins to trade, but I think it's really underperforming at the moment. It's not come back as much as others. I also think Litecoin is not a particular popular coin like Sol, like Mana, like AVAX, SHIB. You know, there's a lot more popular coins now that people like to trade, and they'll probably have had a more recent pump, all-time high. Litecoin really hasn't done a huge amount. I mean, it's done here, but even this is still quite significantly underneath the all-time high. So, you know, this is moving up. You know, it's in the right direction, but not in the same way as other coins have. And the same really for, let me just go to a 4-hour here for XRP. So we've bounced obviously on this trend line, which I've drawn, and I'm trying to think where it goes back to. So it goes back to it goes back here to a all-time low back in, gosh, almost 12 months ago now. You know, so that's you know, shows the power of the trend lines. If I go to the daily, it's all looking a bit messy. Let's just try and see if I can. There we go. You know, we are retracing nicely. We're massively under this one though. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't be too bullish about XRP until it gets back over there. However, a bit like Litecoin, this is massively undervalued, massively. Let's look at something else, which is the we've got here. I think there's a 20-week EMA, and we've also got the bull market support band. And I think I said last time that looks like it's converging. What we can also see is clearly we're massively down. What will be very interesting is to see where we end up, okay, by close. If we end up at around, what's that, 52,800, honestly, I think that would be very impressive, really impressive, and that would be pretty amazing, and that would be quite a nice move up. I mean, it's still several couple of $1,000s, so that would be very good, and that would be a very, very strong retest. And you could probably say here, you know, getting, okay, that's probably not as big a wick, but you know, once we test the bull market support band, you know, we do go up, and we go up in a big way. Trying to see if there's probably the nearest time where we've had such a big wick was probably March 2020. So let me see. So yeah, massive. I mean that's not a wick. I mean, that is a massive capitulation, absolutely massive. And in terms of price action, it's a good point actually. If I go to a 4-hour and see if I can go to March 2020. There we go, March. Let's just make that a bit bigger. Okay. That is not dissimilar to what we've just had. Okay. But also look how long it took to recover, right? It took you know, almost 6 weeks, end of April, you know, so 6 or 7 weeks. So you know, you can take that as our recovery might take us a while, you know. That said, I think we've had a nice bounce so far, and we will see. But you can see here a bit of consolidation, come back down, starts moving up, you know. And look, you know, do I think this is over? Do I think this is the absolute bottom? You know, that's a common question, you know, I get is this the absolute bottom? Well, you don't know anything is the absolute. You didn't know that was the absolute bottom until you get over here and you realize, oh, that's the bottom. And that's not how it works. There's no magic sign that says, oh, this is the bottom, guys, getting along. You know, the only way to get the absolute bottoms is to really ladder orders and set limit orders for against support and resistance lines, you know, or trend lines. That's the only way to do it. There is no and you are chancing then that something will come down, which, don't get me wrong, I think I think is a good thing to do, but this is very difficult to say is this the bottom? how on earth, what indicator in the world tells you this is the absolute bottom, and that we won't just, do this? How do you know? There is nothing in the world. So it's a fairly redundant question that people ask, But as you can see, look, this is obviously the daily. This is narrowing here on the weekly. It's starting to look very close, very, very close indeed, and if this was actually the start of some really big bearish action, if we get a candle like that next, then this absolutely will cross, and we will have another period like this, which might take a few months before we have a move up. That is one possibility. Do I think it will? Oh, not sure. What I will say though, if I go back to Bitcoin here, in fact, actually, let's go to, let's get rid of this. Let's go to BTC. Okay. So, I'm not sure why I'm looking for, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. So, I showed here this massive gap. This was I think it was last weekend, and we didn't fit it. We were arranging up here, and I always felt, we've got to fill this gap, okay. And for people who aren't aware, all this is the gap between trading between Friday and the Friday close and the Monday open, and we have these gaps, okay. So we had one here, and typically what happens is we come back and we fill these gaps, okay. Now, do we fill every single one? No, we don't, but we fill most. And when I say most, it's in the 90%. Well, guess what? We filled it. We absolutely filled it, okay. Now, however, look at this price here at 51,615. That was the close, but we actually went down all the way down here, right? And we are currently still, I think we're around here. So I would be optimistic that by the end of the weekend, or certainly before the start of Monday open, we are back around here. That would be my guess. I also feel that having tested that 52k trend line, having tested this, and well, we've broken it, but hopefully we'll get back above it, that actually the likelihood then of being able to get above here far higher, far higher, and I'd imagine there'll be more people putting in longs, which will also be a problem, and that's the reason why I think we might have one more drop and then we move back up again, But I always felt, in order to, when people are talking about 100k in a bull run, I always felt that in order to get that, we had to have a seismic dip. I always felt it needed to be a big one, and these dips, don't get me wrong, very profitable, and they feel big. I mean, I don't know the size of this one, but what's that? 9%. It's decent. It's decent, but I mean, this one obviously was over a longer period of time, so that's probably better. So 15%, that's pretty good. This, on the other hand, is absolutely massive. If I go down, I'm going down to the wick now, but that's how far it went. 26%. That is a pretty big move. Pretty big move. And I think it really needed that kind of correction in order to generate liquidity to then move us up, right? And we were really struggling here. I mean, how many times are we retesting this? Never quite getting, and we never felt we had enough momentum. We all kept hoping and thinking, oh, maybe we'll, particularly here, thought, oh, maybe we will there. Didn't quite happen, and finally it said no, big rejection, So I'm optimistic we're going to, by the end of the weekend, I think we'll be in and around here. I think we will. We'll fill the CME gap. We'll be pretty close to this trend line. I'd like to see us get back above it fairly quickly, but we'll see. You know, I think the charts look bullish. You know, nice strong VU ups. You know, I think, you know, the daily, I'll be interested to see what the daily looks like, you know, if how that closes. If that closes really well and that turns around quite sharply, that could be very nice. One thing I probably would actually like to say and close on actually is on Wolfpack Pro. I think most people know I love this indicator. I think it's a fantastic indicator. You know, we've got, particularly if we go to the 8 hour, got some green diamonds and golden crosses, which for people who don't know, the green diamonds are a bullish sign on a trigger wave, and the golden crosses follow if they signify a potential breakout. This is quite a sizable trigger wave, if I'm honest, you know, because it's obviously been a very big dip. But I would love to see that being having a little bit more of this on there, and maybe that might give us some confidence that we might have, you know, a huge move up. I think what I'll probably also turn around and say is on a recent Plan B podcast, I think he talked about his two models, the floor model, which predicted 98k in November, which we obviously missed massively. Also predicted 135k in December, and then his stock to flow model in which predicted 100k plus in December. So, you know, while I think this was a very necessary evil, you know, a very profitable evil for me personally, you know, we do need to start seeing at some point this month some bullish signs, right? And these, you know, so if I go back to this is the end of September, right? Brilliant signs, absolutely brilliant. And look at that as a move. And because we've got this here, and then we've got even more, it just reconfirms to you that we're quite likely. The other thing to really look at is the Bollinger Bands, right? You know, we need to get to a point where they're like this, nice and narrow, and typically that then is a precursor to a large move, up or down. You know, you can go both ways, and we're not quite there yet. And quite clearly, this is showing quite a lot of volatility still. The bands are quite wide. You know, here is where it's consolidating, and then massive breakout, right? Massive breakout. So that's what I'm really looking for. And I think to get something that even resembles close to that, you know, we're a little bit away. You know, we've got more to do. So you can see that this, you know, to hit those kind of numbers, I think we might take a week or 2 weeks to do that. You know, is it possible? Of course it is. But I think to get to those kind of numbers, I think we're going to be having, you know, 5k, 10k daily candles, which I can't wait for. But we're not there yet, and it doesn't look that imminent, you know. But I still go back to these important trend lines. Need to get back above here, and then we need to break this one. We break this one, I think we'll be going up, and I think we'll be going up in a big way. In the short term, this is looking very nice. We'll see how much momentum it's got at the moment. But at the moment, looks good. You know, I'm looking for the next big close, which will probably be in just over an hour. And that will be very interesting. And that will be, I think, a 4-hour close. You know, so that will be very interesting for that to happen. You know, but at the moment, you know, charts look reasonably bullish in the short term. Right, thank you very much for joining me. That was probably quite an extensive one, but as you can see, we've had quite a bit to talk about with some amazing action. Brilliant. Thanks very much. If you like the content, press the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and you can join my Discord community, which the link is in the description below. Thanks very much.